Welcome back everyone. Let's go ahead and do a quick little comparison between the Pixel 5 and the Pixel 5a. Now you may not even be able to tell which one is which if I didn't already point it out to you in the beginning with, but the easiest way to tell is if it's a bigger phone, it's probably the Pixel 5a, because you can tell side by side the 5a is the bigger one for sure. Now if you want to pick up either one of these, I'll try to find the links on Amazon. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. But honestly, there's a lot of similarity between both of these phones, but there's also some differences. If you have a Pixel 5, I would definitely recommend keeping it. I would not go for a Pixel 5a, without a doubt. This is the easiest thing I can tell you. But if it's between both of these, you have to keep in mind the price tag. The Pixel 5, even though it's probably almost a year old and it's going to go down in price, it's still going to be probably a more expensive phone than a brand new Pixel 5a, which is costing $449. So that's a pretty big difference in the price tag standpoint as well. I hate how these screens keep timing out. Now side by side, the Pixel 5 has that 6-inch OLED panel. The Pixel 5a has a 6.3-inch OLED panel, both 1080p, so you might be wondering, whoa, is the Pixel 5a's panel better because it has a bigger display? That's not quite the case. The Pixel 5 actually has a 90Hz panel on it, making it feel that much smoother, that much faster. I looked for the settings within the Pixel 5a, it doesn't look like it has it, which is totally, completely fine. It is a cheaper phone, it's a budget-tier phone. It's not looking to replace the 5, it's looking to be a, 4A replacement in a way, which I think it does a good job with. Now on the sides you can see almost the same exact kind of thing. I think the Pixel 5 still feels a little bit more expensive. I almost dropped my phone. It does feel a little bit more expensive in my opinion. On the back you can see almost the same type of feeling, which this one feels more expensive than a Pixel 5a, but I still feel like the 5 feels a little bit more expensive. I'm not 100% too sure which way to put it. Fingerprint sensor right here, and almost the same type of camera layout, except you don't have this whatever this is, that IR blast or whatever. You have the dual camera setups, which are about the same, and the cameras are almost looking at the exact same spot as well. But I'm a fan of both of these. I think they look good. IP certification on both. The Pixel 5 does have wireless charging, which is a big thing to keep in mind. But the Pixel 5a has a much bigger sized battery than the Pixel 5, which makes the Pixel 5a, I think this one has the biggest sized battery in any Pixel, which is crazy to say because it's a very good phone still. So in terms of the outside, that pretty much covers it up. Now a big thing to keep in mind, and something that I always look forward to between phones, is the software lifecycle. Both these phones have stock Android, which is great, and both of these phones are probably going to last for quite a bit of time. And they're going to have custom ROMs probably too. If the Pixel 5 already doesn't have it, the 5a is going to have it when it officially starts coming out. But here's the thing, and this is the biggest thing to keep in mind. I am kind of confused on what Google's going to do with their stock software approach. Is the 5a going to match the 5? Because if that ends up being the case, the 4a 5G is also going to match the 5, which makes sense. But is the 5a going to match the 6 instead? Because the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro are coming out. So I'm curious to see what Google is going to do in that sense. I think they're probably going to end up making the 5a match the Pixel 6, but that's going to make me feel weird about the Pixel 5 and the 4a 5G because they all have the same chipset. So I'm not too sure what they're going to do there either. They have a lot of choices, a lot of different things they can kind of move in with. But in terms of software, that pretty much covers it up there too. Now let's go ahead and do a speed comparison between both these phones. Now they both have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 760G chipset, but the Pixel 5 has 8 gigs of RAM, the Pixel 5a has 6 gigs of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster phone between both of these. Okay, there we go. Let's go and make sure we have all the apps cleared out in the background by going all the way in the beginning with clearing all here and clearing all here. Now, I'm expecting the speed to be about the same, to be completely honest, but let's go and see. Let's do phone calls 3, 2, 1. And I think about the same thing. Messages 3, 2, 1. And we are getting these pop-ups on the Pixel 5a. Let's do Play Store 3, 2, 1. And you can see the Pixel 5 a little bit faster there. Scrolling through, you can see I think they both do a pretty good job at loading. They're both about the same, pretty choppy on both, to be honest. Camera 3, 2, 1. And about the same thing, so let's go and hop out of this one. As always, I have a bunch of these third-party apps we can go and get into. So Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And it looks like the 5a actually opened it up like a split second faster. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a crazy big difference. We'll see. That was a pretty noticeable thing. You can see the 5a, I think, was the faster one here. It's a pretty cool thing. I wasn't expecting the 5a to be faster than the Pixel 5 because they have the same chipset. BOFA 3, 2, 1. And if anything, the 5a has a higher chance of being slower because of the lack of RAM. You can see here about the same thing, not that big of a difference. Let's go and get into Instagram, which I don't even have here. Let's get into Snake versus Blocks 3, 2, 1. And I think the 5A again was the faster one here. Getting into some gameplay, let's see if there's a difference. And I don't know if there's going to be that big of a difference here. You can see it's about the same thing. Not really that big of a difference here, but yeah, let's go and hop out of this one. Let's get into stack, 3, 2, 1. And you can see both do a pretty good job. I think the Pixel 5a again was slightly faster. Now let me take it back into this game, and let's go and get into some gameplay this time. Let's click here, and you can see pretty much the same thing going on. Not that big of a difference. Yeah, there's really not that big of a difference in this game. Let's go and hop out of this one. Let's get into some stock Google apps, I guess, because I ran out of the other ones. Let's get into something like Google Photos, which comes stock with all these phones. 3, 2, 1. And at the 5, I think I'll give it some leeway because, it was already pre-installed with it, and I've already opened it before. Let's get into this light bulb one, 3, 2, 1. And it looks like the Pixel 5 was faster. I haven't opened this app on either one of these phones. We can go into Google Play Music, 3, 2, 1. And I don't know what happened on both of these, to be honest. Let's get into settings, 3, 2, 1. And I do think I'm getting an overall faster experience on the Pixel 5, although the 5a was fast in a couple of different areas. And I think when it comes down to both of these, I think the Pixel 5 is the faster one by a little bit, but there really isn't that big of a difference if I'm being completely honest. They are very similar between the two, and I think that's pretty much how I'd sum up the speed comparison. Now let's go and quickly hit on the cameras. Now I will do a full camera comparison between these two at some point, but they both kind of have the same exact setup for the most part. They have two cameras, so a 12.2 megapixel wide angle lens, then a 16 megapixel ultra wide sensor. Now they both can do 4K at 30. I think the Pixel 5 can do 4K at 60, but they both are almost the same exact camera. You can see this one doesn't have that extra whatever this is on the Pixel 5a, but they're both very similar. The front cameras are a little bit different though. You can see that the Pixel 5a, or you can't see it, but the 5a can only do 1080p at 30. The Pixel 5 can actually do 1080p at 60. So that's a pretty cool advantage you have on the Pixel 5 camera. But I will definitely tell you, between these two, I think, the biggest advantage that you have is Google's, post-processing. So you actually have a little bit of an advantage for picking up a Pixel phone than other phones in that category. So that's a pretty big advantage between these two, but that pretty much covers it up in a camera standpoint. Now to kind of sum up these videos and to answer the question, should you go buy a Pixel 5 or should you go buy a Pixel 5a? Well, in my opinion, I still think the Pixel 5 is the more superior phone. I think this device has a lot more going for it. I think you're getting a better camera on this phone, arguably. You're getting, I think a higher premium feeling phone, which they both kind of feel the same, to be honest, and they both almost look identical. You're getting a 90 Hz panel on this display, which still looks very, very good, and I have few complaints, if any, about it. I think, 120 Hz would be great. The 5a doesn't have this, and I think, with the extra RAM, that's another pretty big advantage. This phone may be cheaper in the next couple of months once the Pixel 6 comes out, but it's still not going to come close to the Pixel 5a. This price tag, $449 brand new, you can't really go wrong with it. It has a bigger display than the Pixel 5, which is pretty interesting because you usually don't see that for a cheaper phone. You're getting almost the same camera setup, although the camera setup is still better on the Pixel 5. It's still almost the same, which is a pretty big thing to keep in mind. On top of this, the display is still almost exactly the same. Yes, you have 90 Hz here, but it really isn't a crazy big deal when you're at this price tag because you're saving like hundreds of dollars when you pick up this phone. So I think not having that 90 Hz refresh rate is a decent trade-off in my opinion. The speeds are very similar. The Pixel 5 I think was the faster one overall, but the 5a still can handle its own. So I think when it comes down to both of these, I think the 5 is probably the better one to pick up, but the 5a is a very good phone still, and I would say for the price tag, you can't go wrong with this phone at all. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.